He was just an old man in worn-out boots, asking about a rifle, but the young clerk rolled his eyes and told him to leave. Customers laughed. No one stopped it. But exactly 1 hour later, the door slammed open again. This time, a full Navy SEAL team walked in, silent, armed, and deadly serious, and they weren't there to shop. They were there for him. It was a slow afternoon at Patriot Arms, a local gun shop just outside of town. A few regulars browsed the shelves, chatting about new scopes and weekend hunts. Behind the counter stood a young clerk named Kyle, barely in his 20s, cocky, and glued to his phone more than anything else. That's when the bell over the door chimed, and in stepped an elderly man wearing a faded military jacket, old combat boots, and a well-worn ball cap that simply read Vietnam Veteran. His movements were slow, his back slightly hunched, but his eyes were calm and clear. He quietly walked over to the rifle display and looked up at a classic M1 Garand, hanging behind the counter. "Mind if I take a look at that one?" he asked politely. Carl glanced up from his phone and gave a smirk. "That one's not for browsing, sir. It's for serious buyers." The old man smiled patiently. "Just want to hold it, son. Haven't seen one like that in years." Kyle scoffed, loud enough for others in the store to hear. "You sure you can even lift it? Looks like it's older than you." A few customers chuckled. The old man didn't react. He simply nodded, turned around, and started walking out the door. Kyle called out behind him, "Come back when you've got cash." "Grandpa!" The laughter grew louder. No one stopped it. No one stepped in. They just watched the old man disappear through the door like he didn't matter. To them, he was just another old-timer wasting time in a place for real shooters. What they didn't know, what none of them realized, was that they had just insulted someone whose name was spoken in hushed tones by men who'd faced war and survived. But he wasn't done just yet. Outside the shop, the old veteran walked slowly to a nearby bench beneath a quiet row of trees. He sat down without a word, set his canvas bag beside him, and pulled out an old flip phone, scratched, faded, and barely hanging on. He opened it with a soft click and dialed a number from memory. No contacts, no notes, just muscle memory. After 2 rings, someone picked up. The old man spoke quietly, his tone steady. It happened again. He said, "Same as before. I'm headed to the park." Then he closed the phone and placed it in his coat pocket. No emotion, no anger, just a quiet routine, repeated too many times over too many years. Back at the shop, the energy returned to normal. Customers chatted about gear, ammo, and upcoming range days. Kyle, still feeling proud of himself, bragged about the encounter. Guy comes in like he owns the place. He laughed, mimicking a limp, probably a fake vet anyway. A few people chuckled, but not everyone looked comfortable. One man near the door stared at him a little longer than the rest. Then the shop's front windows reflected something unusual, a line of black SUVs pulling into the lot. One by one, moving like clockwork. The laughter stopped. Phones lowered. Eyes widened. The first SUV door opened, and out stepped a tall man in tactical gear, boots polished, eyes sharp. Then another and another. Each man moved with precision and calm, a presence that only comes from years in the field. Within moments, 5 SUVs had arrived, and a full team of Navy SEALs stood outside the shop in perfect silence. No words, no chaos, just presence. The same presence that turns jokes into fear and reveals who people really are. When respect walks through the door. The door to the gun shop opened with a sharp chime. But this time, no one laughed or looked away. The SEALs walked in, not in a rush, but with a quiet force that shifted the entire mood of the room. Their eyes scanned the space like they were clearing a mission zone. The leader, a tall man with a shaved head and steel in his gaze, approached the counter where Kyle stood frozen. "We're looking for the man you kicked out," he said coldly. Kyle blinked, confused. "Who?" he asked, voice cracking. The SEAL leaned in closer. "The veteran. About an hour ago. Old man. Wore a Vietnam cap. You remember now?" Kyle stammered. his fake confidence collapsing. "Oh, I didn't mean anything. He was just looking around. Didn't seem like a buyer." One of the SEALs behind the leader stepped forward, his jaw clenched. "That man is Master Chief James Reynolds, SEAL Team 6. He led more Black Ops than you've had hot meals. You think because he's old, he's not worth your time." Kyle swallowed hard, his face pale. He tried to speak again, but the words didn't come. The entire shop was silent. Even the customers who'd chuckled earlier now stood stiff, eyes down, realizing just how badly the clerk had messed up. The SEALs didn't yell. They didn't threaten. They didn't need to. Their presence said everything. The leader turned back to the team. He asked to see a rifle. "Let's make it right." Another SEAL walked to the display, removed the M1 Garand the old man had admired, and placed it gently on the counter. "You're going to ring this up? Full price. We'll deliver it ourselves." Kyle could only nod. At that moment, everyone in the room finally understood. Respect isn't optional, it's earned. And it must be given. The convoy of black. SUVs returned to the quiet park where the old veteran still sat on the same bench, eyes closed, face tilted toward the breeze like he was listening to the past. The sound of tires on gravel made him open his eyes. He didn't flinch, didn't stand, just gave a small smile as the SEALs approached with purpose but also with deep, silent respect. The team leader stepped forward, carrying the M1 Garand in both hands like it was made of gold. "Master Chief Reynolds," he said softly, "we brought something for you." The old man looked at the rifle, then up at the faces of the men he once trained, led, and protected. Each of them stood tall not because of rank but out of honor. He reached out and ran a weathered hand along the wood of the rifle, nodding. "Same feel," he said. "Same balance. Had one just like it in '68. One of the younger SEALs smiled. "That's why we grabbed it. Thought it should be with the right hands." The old man didn't say thank you. He didn't have to. His eyes told the story filled with pride, pain, memory, and quiet appreciation. They sat with him for a while, on the grass and on benches, listening to his stories, not the ones about medals or kills, but about the brothers who didn't come home, about the times they laughed in tents under enemy fire, about lessons learned the hard way, and silence carried for decades. No one interrupted. No one checked a phone. It was sacred ground now. Before they left, the team leader saluted him not out of obligation, but reverence. The old man returned it with a small nod. "You boys remember," he said. "Always respect the old ghosts. They're the reason you're still here." A week later, the small-town gun shop had changed. The laughter that once mocked a quiet old man was replaced with silence and reflection. Kyle no longer worked the counter. His dismissal was quiet, but firm. A new plaque hung on the wall behind the register now, carved in dark walnut and brass. It read, "In honor of Master Chief James Reynolds, a true warrior, a silent guardian." Customers came in and stared at it for long moments before speaking. The SEAL team's unexpected visit had shaken the entire community, but it had also awakened something deeper: respect, gratitude, and humility. Back at the park, Master Chief Reynolds returned to his bench each morning, some days alone, some days joined by strangers, young veterans, kids, curious locals, each coming to sit beside the man they once overlooked. He never bragged. He didn't talk about medals or missions unless asked. But what he gave them was more powerful, a quiet reminder that strength isn't always loud, and real heroes never need to prove themselves. One afternoon, a young boy approached with a notepad. "Sir," he asked shyly, "were you really a SEAL?" The old man smiled. "Once," he said, "a long time ago." The boy looked down at the rifle, resting beside the bench. "Can I be one too?" The old man placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Only if you lead with honor, not pride, and never forget those who came before you." The boy nodded seriously, like it was a promise. As the sun dipped below the horizon. The old veteran sat still, the M1 across his lap, the wind soft around him. He wasn't just a man anymore. He was a lesson, a legacy. A story now told not in books but in the hearts of those who finally learn to look deeper. Asterisk, if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share with others who value true heroes. Asterisk, subscribe to Unheard Heroes for more powerful stories that deserve to be remembered. Asterisk.